Okay, hello to all my people nerds, and thank you all for joining our spring product update. And if you're new to Dscout, I'm realizing that the people nerds thing might need a little more context. I'm not just out here calling folks nerds right out of the gate. That'd be a bad look. People Nerds, if you're unaware, is our blog and community for anyone and everyone interested in user feedback, research, and more human-centered design and product development. So I think I'm generally safe to assume we're all people nerds here. But while I let a few more people funnel in, please by all means share in the chat where you're calling in from and what you do. And these one-sided intros are always a little weird, but I'll start. My name is Zach Hans, and I run the product marketing team here at Dscout. So working closely with our product, marketing, design, and research teams on how we share what we're building and making sure all you lovely people are aware of all those exciting updates. I'm based in Colorado, but originally from Chicago, where Dscout is headquartered. And I'm gonna bet that I just saw at least a few of you recently in San Francisco at Figma's Config conference, which was really just a fun chance to connect with everyone and hear what the sort of trends and concerns are. So, yeah, if you have any fun takeaways from the event, by all means, share those in the chat as well. I'm seeing Cambridge, Massachusetts, Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin. I love Madison. Switzerland. There we go. We're international now. The chats are coming in too fast for me to scroll. Bogota, Colombia. This is great. This is a great mix of people. Awesome. Love it. So, I think we can call it there on waiting for everyone and just jump in. But if you see somebody you know or somebody in the same area, coordinate, go get coffee together. We love stuff like that. So as I mentioned, this is our spring product update. We do this webinar every quarter, and that's in addition to our monthly release newsletter to make sure nothing gets missed. Because let me tell you, this team is really cranking out so many updates that it is a risk that you could miss something. And we're incredibly proud of that, just that continuous improvement. But it does mean these updates are super important to make sure you know everything you have access to and don't miss anything. And I can have someone share the link out to our previous webinars and newsletters so that you can track what we've been up to. But let's dive in. So first, the obvious stuff. I've already got you all using the chat, so don't hesitate to continue to connect with each other in there. And we've got a bunch of Dscouters in here as well. So they might chime in to help answer any questions as we go. We're a talkative group. But as far as questions go, your best bet is to use the Q&A feature for that. So we'll have teammates answering as we go, and we'll potentially take a few questions live depending on time. But using that space helps us, just stay accountable and make sure we don't miss any follow-ups. Because if we don't get you your question on the call, we'll always be able to follow up afterwards. And then the question that always gets asked, yes, we are recording this, so if you spill coffee, get an Amazon delivery, or just need to jump on a huddle or whatever, you'll get the link emailed to you in our follow-up so that you can easily jump back in. So our agenda for today is going to be as follows. I'll walk us through what we've released since I last saw you all in February. And then I'll have one of our product managers, Mariah, join us to give you a tour of one of her more exciting releases, just a bit more in depth in our product spotlight. And then we'll close out with a brief teaser of what you can expect to see in the Dscout platform in the next few months. So this might be old news to some of you, but I actually used this explainer for a lot of the folks at Config. On research, product, and design teams, you're not designing or building for yourself. You're doing it for your user. And so Dscout was built to put that user feedback front and center in your process. And that means everything from finding who to talk to in the first place. Quick spoiler here, it's not just your own users. But it also means crafting and fielding studies to get your questions answered, whether that's in live interviews or more self-guided usability tests. It's the operational process of calendar scheduling and incentive payouts. It's analyzing and making sense of all the data you collect, and maybe most important, sharing your findings with decision makers in a way that really inspires change and makes it real for them. Dscout is all of that, and all the updates you see today are going to support that workflow of user feedback. Okay, so with the platform primer out of the way, one last thing before we get into it. Since we're talking all about our updates and innovation today, I would be remiss if I didn't highlight the feedback we've received on what we're building here. And this isn't just me spouting my opinion, although I do think my opinions are pretty good, of course. Dscout is releasing product at 2 to 3 times the rate of our top competitors in the space. And we're really proud to be able to deliver that to you all and continue that. And then if you actually dig through those third-party review sites to see, what real users have to say, you'll see that we're top rated in, both people's trust in the direction of our product, and in the quality of support they receive from our team. So just let that frame some of what we share in these updates today, because we really pride ourselves on being, truly customer-led innovation, and so much of what you're going to see here is coming directly from your feedback. So we want to keep those lines of communication open. Okay, so what has the team been up to, and how does Dscout look different over the past few months? So you'll notice here that I'm bucketing these updates into some high-level categories. It's sort of how we approached our road mapping and prioritization to just make sure we're focused on a few key areas. The first of which is overall UX. Ultimately, you all need Dscout to be, both easy and fun to use, to work how you expect it to, and to check all the boxes you need checked to run your research program how you see fit. And that's what these updates are all about. So first and foremost here is our new ability to edit studies and screeners after they've already been launched or even closed. An actual quote I saw after we released this was, "Holy mackerel, is this a big deal?" And it really is. For soft launches or piloting, or just as you recognize, early learnings that sort of determine you need to adjust your screening criteria or questions. Um, but for now, I'm actually going to leave it at that versus going too deep, because in a bit I'm going to have Mariah from our product team hop on to demo and talk through how you can use it in more detail. So I don't want to steal her thunder. But next, a couple exciting updates to our usability testing offering. Our Figma integration already lets you, easily test prototypes, and we've made some improvements to make it more flexible and even faster to set up. Um, so first, you'll now see embedded prototypes that are more interactive, just making it easier to select your starting screen and success screens. But we've also added the option to automatically close your task URL or prototype after the question. And this just gives you a bit more control over the experience and helps with things like recall testing. And so sticking with usability testing for a second, but more on the topic of privacy and PII. So with the power of continuous recording, you obviously then also run the risk of capturing moments at registration, login, checkout, or in a user's settings. Those times when sensitive personal data might be displayed. And now you can actually toggle on blurring for specific questions throughout the study, to just better follow privacy and compliance standards, but also not lose that power of continuous recording that you get with Dscout. Um, Moving on from usability testing for a second, we also added some crucial flexibility to how our scale questions work in Dscout. So first, you can now add optional custom labels to your minimum and maximum values, to just make everything much clearer. And then additionally, we're now going to default to a more consistent 1 to 5 scale, but you can edit your minimum as low as 0 and your maximum as high as 10. And so far, we've really seen this simplify the participant experience and just make it more intuitive for those building the studies as well. Music to my ears. I like to see that one too. Okay, now you'll notice here that we had so many quality of life improvements that I actually needed to split it into two slides to give everything proper focus in this UX category. So first up, our question bank functionality. This has already been huge for many of you, but we've actually been in beta on that, where as you're building a study, you can add questions to a bank of pre-approved options for users to pull from. It really helps just speed up more novice researchers and everyone really in getting tests set up and just maintains quality control. And over 70% of our early users rated it a 5 out of 5. So it's working. But now that beta tag is coming off because of our new management features that we released. So now you can access and customize your full question bank in your account settings to just better organize and control how questions are used by the team. This means things like continued editing of the questions, more filtering by author, question type, or setting favorites, and advanced permission settings to make it easier to pivot as your standards evolve. So moving on to our live interview tool. Previously, when you were running interviews with a user on mobile, you couldn't have guests join the session to observe, and now you can. Mobile can be a bit of a finicky thing since there are all sorts of stability concerns with call quality, and that's with any provider. But we've made some huge improvements in our tech, and now your stakeholders and collaborators can join from their desktop to sit in on those mobile interviews. And then last here, back in February, I mentioned some updates to the UI of the recruiting section of the platform. We had updated some of the labels and structure to just help simplify navigation and make it easier to find your knockout questions and targeting attributes when you're building your screener. And now we've carried that over to our Express tool as well. So you'll just have a more consistent experience when you're recruiting participants directly in Express for usability tests and such. And this should really help cut down the learning curve for new or more novice users. I like to see that response from Pert as well. Okay, now, another big focus for us is expanding access to quality participants. I hear it all the time, no shows, professional participants, gaming the system, low quality insights. It's the whole garbage in, garbage out, right? So at Dscout, we're already known for our proprietary panel of scouts, just being the highest quality participants in the industry. And it's important to us to maintain that and always add to your recruitment options. So the last time we spoke, I mentioned the integration with our private panels tool that lets you manage recurring research on a group of your own users via Dscout. And we've been continuing that work to where now, when you're setting up a usability test or media survey and inviting your own participants, you'll see this new option to choose from your private panels. And this really just gives you a seamless experience to go choose from your own audience to route people straight into your study. And then next here with programming insights, we got so much positive feedback on this feature in our recruit tool that we decided to replicate it when you auto recruit in our Express tool for a more consistent experience. So sometimes when studies are taking, longer to fill, there's really helpful data in the knockout funnel to see where users are dropping off because of your criteria. And now you'll see these programming insights to help you understand, where you might need to broaden your criteria to get the participants you need on the timeline you need. And Ashley's right. This is great. And then last here, but so far from least, one of our other big pillars is innovation. If those UX updates I shared are sort of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, this is how we're trying to rewrite the alphabet a bit, really change how research gets done. And AI is obviously a massive part of that. So you'll continue to see more and more updates from us on that front. So we've already made AI summaries, themes, and auto tagging available across Dscout, and that's saving people over 5 hours per study on analysis from what we've seen. And most recently, we added to that with our release of what we call notable moments. So now, when you're analyzing task responses in your usability tests, in addition to summaries, our AI will also timestamp and flag, potentially interesting or compelling moments to either dig into more deeply, or you can actually automatically convert them into shareable clips to send to stakeholders. So think things like the user getting stuck at login or confused on where to go in your interface, or conversely, speaking really positively about how easy a feature is to use. Okay, so I just talked through a lot of new stuff since February, and hopefully some of you are already, opening up Dscout to go experiment with it all, or maybe even, gently poking your boss to get on that demo or review, our ROI docs to make the case to move on to Dscout and get you all access to this stuff. But now I think it's a good point to take a break from me talking and these higher level overviews to go deeper on that editing capability that I teased at the start. So here I'm going to hand it over to our senior product manager, Mariah Price, to give you a tour of what she and the team built for you. Mariah, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Zach. Hi, everyone. I'm Mariah. I'm a product manager here at Dscout, and I led the team that worked on editing a mission or recruit screener post-launch. Before we get into the pre-recorded demo here of the capabilities in platform, I'm deeply curious to know. I'm launching a poll here to see how familiar everyone is with this capability. It's a new release, came out at the end of April. So burning curiosity about how much time everyone has had to either play around with this feature or even hearing in the chat how excited you are about this. Maybe it's been a while since you've been in and you didn't know about it. Would love to hear. Okay, getting a lot of responses coming in. A lot of people hearing about it for the first time, which is amazing. You're in the right place. And I can't wait for you to learn more about the future. And I hope that it gets you excited about the possibilities and what this can do for your research. Um, oh, very cool. I see at least 2% of people have used it regularly. That's amazing. Would love to hear your feedback. If you tried it once, if you tried it twice, you use it occasionally, you use it often, would love to get your feedback so we know how we can continue improving on this. I'll give it a couple more seconds here. See some responses trickling in. Okay, cool. This is lovely. Thank you, everyone. And I think we can get started on the demo.
So, what can you edit after you launch a mission? The answer is pretty much anything. You can edit the mission details like your mission description or your recruit screener teaser, the hero image. You can also toggle on company branding if you forgot to do that prior. You can edit screening criteria like knockouts and targeting attributes, and everything within the question text, response options, answer choices, and their settings. You can add answer choices, remove answer choices, and even add skip logic. You can remove a question if you feel like it's no longer necessary. You can move its location. You can even add a question. A few elements can't be changed after launch, like the incentive amount, recruitment approach, device type, and informed consent. So if you need to make any adjustments to those, you can still duplicate your mission to make those adjustments. When editing a launched Express mission or recruit screener, recruitment continues without disruption. which is ideal when you want to make a quick change without pausing recruitment. If you'd like to pause recruitment, you can always close your mission before making changes. Let's say you have a screener that's struggling to fill. You can review your study to find where you've been a little bit too restrictive and make adjustments. So in this case, I no longer want to knock out participants who have owned a phone less than 6 months. For the second question, I've noticed that from initial responses, we need to be more specific to social media users. So I'm going to narrow down our targeting to Instagram and TikTok users. And we've been getting some vague responses to this question, so I'm going to adjust it to make sure that I'm adding an example to elicit more detailed information. And lastly, I've gotten some feedback from my stakeholders. We need to add a question about privacy concerns to better understand our users' attitudes. As you can see, while in editing mode, you can make as many changes as you want. When you're ready for those changes to be seen by your participants, you can select Publish. If you're not ready to publish your changes, no sweat. You can go back to your project and return, and all of your changes will be waiting there for you. If you decide you no longer need those edits, you can discard them. You can also preview your changes to get a look and feel for how participants will view them. Published changes will only be seen by new participants, meaning anyone who hasn't already begun responding to your mission or screener. Now that we've seen how to make edits to your mission, let me walk you through how analysis works with edited questions. At the time of this recording, you will always see the latest version of the questions and answer choices you've created for your study in this Questions tab. Here's an example of how this might look in practice. In this study, I've collected 3 total responses, and I can see the latest response in my latest version in this Questions tab. If I want, I can go to the Participants tab and view the previous version of the study that my other participants sought. When significant edits are made, the study is versioned. This allows you to decide if those versions should be merged based on your research needs. So behind the scenes, Dscout will track which version of a question each participant responded to, and you can find that in the Participants tab or in your export data. You maintain full control over how to interpret and analyze these different versions. If you need to make a small change to the prompt of your question, you can do so without forcing a version. But if you fundamentally changed what you're asking, you might want to treat the versions as different questions entirely. This versioning approach gives you flexibility without locking you into a rigid analysis path. You're free to merge or separate data from different versions based on what makes sense for your specific research objectives.
Thank you, Mariah. Thanks again so much for doing that for us to take us through that, especially selfishly, so that I didn't have to. I appreciate you taking that on. That update has been sought after by so many customers of ours, so it is really exciting to see how many just how people start using it for those soft launches and such, like we mentioned. It was good to see how many of y'all had already started experimenting with it, but it's clearly new to a lot of you, so definitely get out there and check it out. But now it's time to shift gears and give you that sneak peek of what's coming to Dscout soon to help streamline your research. Okay, so this is an exciting one. Multivariate will be a new option that essentially allows for all sorts of concept testing approaches. Now, to be clear, Dscout already supports concept testing today with randomization in our question groups. But this update is going to take that even further by letting you include unique follow-ups with each of those concepts. So you can, and then you can obviously randomize those to reduce bias. So in this initial release, each participant will see every concept, but will, fast follow with the option to run it more like an A/B test where each participant will only see one version at random to see how they perform and compare against each other. So very, very excited to see the progress on that one. And then moving on to the ever important topic of sourcing people for your studies. I am so pumped to share an update on our partner panels. So the team has been hard at work on this, building out our third-party integrations to help fill your more niche study needs more quickly. So this means if you ever can't find who you need through our proprietary Scout panel, or if you just know that your needs are more specific, you can explicitly target our partner panels right within Dscout. And that means everything from setting up and launching your screener to viewing and analyzing applications and adding participants to your study, all right here within Dscout. And it's 100% worth calling out here that these application analysis views you get are really unique to Dscout. We provide summary charts of close-ended questions, filtering by responses or demographic data, and organizing candidates by fit. Um, Not all providers offer that same control of who you let into your research. Now, our partner panel integrations will initially start with Respondent, but our specialty recruiting team already works with providers in local markets around the globe, and we're exploring other well-known providers to just continue to expand our reach and make sure that you can always find exactly who you need. And next up, we've got a few exciting updates coming to our moderated interview tool. So first, you'll start seeing calendar invites in the emails generated when you schedule your sessions in Dscout. So for moderators, participants, and even observers, you'll be able to more easily track sessions and changes to those sessions on whatever calendaring tool you're using. And then shortly after that, we'll also be pushing out direct integrations with both Google Calendar and Microsoft Outlook. So that when you're setting up interviews in Dscout, once you connect your calendar, you'll see times where the moderator is busy to just make planning, much more streamlined and efficient. And then one more thing here, a small but mighty update on the way. Um, I think we've all been there when participants say they can't find their link to join the session, no matter how easy you make it. So we're also making it easier for you to find that link to resend it as needed and just help avoid those no-shows. And then also coming soon, you'll see a fresh new revamp of the homepage in your Dscout account. Now, we're doing this to make it easier to pick up where you left off, but also help you kind of find your way around the platform with fewer clicks. So just a big ease of use and quality of life upgrade. So a few exciting things to highlight within this one. This will include a new global navigation sidebar, which will be accessible anywhere in the platform. And then you'll also be able to click into studies and screeners right from the project list page. And everything will be sorted by recent activity to find your way back to what you were working on yesterday. You'll also be able to star or pin projects to add them to your sidebar for quicker access. So pretty exciting stuff on that one as well. And then moving on, when you look at this slide, you might think, wait a second, didn't I already see this slide already? Didn't he say notable moments just got released? And you'd be mostly right. So as a reminder, notable moments are available on your usability tests right now. But soon we'll be adding that same functionality to your live interviews as well. So rather than needing to comb through the whole session to find what you need, we'll flag those compelling parts with some notes. And when you pair that with the AI summaries we already offer on interviews, you can really start to speed up the analysis process by figuring out where to better focus your efforts. Okay, and to close this out, I've got one more exciting update on the AI front with a direct call to action to all of our customers out there. Some of you might already be aware of our new AI research assistant we're building. This is essentially like a chat that lets you ask questions or make requests of your data. Things like pull 5 positive quotes and 5 negative quotes about their experience, or what trends came up the most across these specific questions or around this topic. Um, so one way to look at this is where all of our other AI features so far, like the notable moments I just mentioned, where those are all structured to give you summaries, identify patterns and such. This is intentionally unstructured to be more open-ended and let you ask the unique questions you have about your initiatives, or help generate the right outputs or proof points that you need for your stakeholders. But the big update here, other than it obviously coming soon, is that we're now at the point where we are actively looking for beta testers to give us feedback. So if you're an early adopter or just highly opinionated like me, we want to hear from you and get you set up in the program to help make sure we release, the best possible solution for you all. So we're gonna put up a poll really quick to help gauge interest. Now, just bear in mind we're starting with a closed beta, so you may not hear from us right away. We'll likely focus first on customers who already use our AI tools today. But it'll be good to have your interest on file as we open things up more, or so we can just follow up once it's completed to show it to you in action. But I will give it just a minute or so for this to run. This is great. We've got a lot of early adopters who kind of want to be at the forefront of what AI can do. Great. Okay, it looks like we have wrapped that up. So, we just covered quite a lot of stuff in a fairly short period, and I'm sure some of you have questions. I know our team has been active in the chat, but I have also had a crew helping me pull together a list of questions to answer. So let me just take a minute to look really quick at the list and the Q&A to see what we might want to recap. Oh, and I should mention here, I know our team has also, been sharing out some resources to dive deeper into the technical details of some of these updates. And we'll include some of those in our recap email. So I encourage you to pour through those if you want to really understand all the nuances and ins and outs of using this stuff. But just go experiment, or if you're not already a user, ask our team to show it to you on a demo. And I'll invite my product team to interject at any point if I'm butchering the answers to any of these questions, or there's anything in the Q&A that you specifically want to address. It can be more helpful to hear from the people who really were hands-on in building it. So one of the first ones I see is something here regarding the multivariate testing option that I mentioned was coming soon. Just asking about A/B testing being a balanced comparison. Um, the short answer is yes. I can explain a bit more how it'll work, but Mariah, you can also check me on any of this. You'll be able to add up to 3 variants, and each variant can be grouped with multiple questions, like our scale, rank, open-ended, etc. So you can show your concepts and ask those unique follow-ups about that concept. And then most importantly, to reduce bias, Dscout automatically randomizes which group each participant sees first. And so you will get that balanced comparison. And I just want to call out the use of A/B testing in that question. Um, Now, this can sort of just depend on how you define the term because it's not always consistent, as we often see in our industry. So Dscout will not be supporting A/B or split tests on live sites to show people different versions when they land there. This is still run through the actual Dscout studies. But also, A/B testing often refers to the version where each user only sees one variant, which will be added in the second phase of this release. But initially, participants will see all variants in a random order. And then this is a pretty good one about our partner panels and that respondent integration that I mentioned. The question is, will I be able to recruit from both a partner panel and the Dscout panel in the same study? Yes, absolutely. So you can easily add participants from multiple screeners into the same study, whether that's a screener from the Dscout panel or a screener run with our partner panel. You can just select your participants across screeners and hit Add to Study. And we've got another one here about our updated private panels integration, which just a reminder to clarify this versus the partner panels solution I was just talking about. Private panels is the tool to run and track recurring research on a panel of your own participants. So the question was, can I still use knockout questions when recruiting through private panels in a media survey? Media survey is one of the options in our Express tool. Yeah, so recruiting through private panels works similar to our Bring Your Own option for one-off invites, where you add participants directly to your study without using knockout questions. And so anyone you invite is able to participate with no screening required. If screening is part of your process, that's fine too. There are a couple ways you can do that. One option is you can create a screener directly in our private panels tool and then invite only, the pre-selected panelists into your mission. Another option would be to use a screener in our recruit tool to vet panelists and then use the pull from screener option when setting up your media survey. And there's another one about the upcoming calendar integrations in our interview tool that we talked about. If I reschedule a session in Dscout, will it automatically update both my Outlook calendar and my co-moderators? So once this is live, if you've enabled project notifications, yes. Any rescheduled or canceled session will send an updated email confirmation for both you and your co-moderator. If the session is rescheduled, that email will include a new calendar invite, no extra steps needed. And then in the next release, individual users can have their Outlook or Google Calendar connected to Dscout, and then you can make changes directly in the live scheduler and view your teammates' availability in real time. So it'll be just super, super easy to keep everything in sync. And then it looks like we've got a question about permissions with the question bank offering that I said was moving out of beta with the new management capabilities. This says who can add and edit questions and who can access questions I add to my question bank. So I'll refer you to the help docs for a breakdown that'll probably be easier to understand than what I share here, because this will be a mouthful. But essentially, anyone with a researcher seat in Dscout can add questions to the bank. And they can edit their questions that they added, but not another researcher's questions. But then the account owner and admin can add questions and edit any questions. And if you use Dscout's team workspaces, your designated workspace lead has similar control to add and edit as needed. But I feel like that definitely needs the table breakdown that you'll see in our help docs. So definitely check that out as well. And then I'm probably gonna wrap up with a couple here about the spotlight topic on making edits to the study post-launch. But then, if our product team wants to cover any more live, by all means, stop me and jump in. One that I see here though is there a time limit for editing a mission after it's launched? It says, I remember it used to be 2 weeks for adding more scouts. Has that changed? That's a great question. So there's no time limit for editing a launched or even closed mission. You can make and publish your changes at any time. So it's especially helpful for ongoing or iterative research. Just keep in mind your fill rate when deciding when to make those updates. And then previously, yes, there was a 2 week limit for adding participants, but that restriction has been removed with our latest update. And then if Mariah is still on the call, there's a question about what the analysis views look like after a post-launch edit has been made and how AI analysis will be impacted by this. Mariah, do you want to cover that one?
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure if it was clear in the video, but when you make a significant edit, when you change a question in your study, the study will be versioned. So you can go to the participants tab and see all of the previously collected responses and the questions that they responded to. But then the new version is visible on the questions tab. So all incoming participant responses will be viewable there. Currently, you can choose to merge the data in an export. So making that decision and determination yourself around what warrants being combined, depending on the level of the scope of the change that you've made. But we do have plans to continue refining how that continues to be like merged and combined over time. So again, please do not hesitate to reach out in terms of your expectations for what that looks like. And as far as AI responses, we would encourage you to run the analysis before making the edit or just being more mindful about the timing there, since if you change the question or multiple questions, that changes the interpretation of the data. So your AI summaries might seem a little bit confusing if for a question that was changed, you added different wording, different phrasing, and maybe it changed the interpretation for the responses. So it looks across all iterations of those responses. So keeping in mind about when you're deciding to edit and then triggering analysis.
Awesome. Thanks, Mariah. And then if Jonathan is still on the call, Jonathan, I think you flagged a question that you wanted to answer live for the group.
Yes, forgive me. Let me know. Am I jumping in? Can you hear me okay, Zach?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so just to simply say, we take the data privacy extremely seriously. So when we're looking at how data is used, going through our models, of course, we've got all the security, private instances, and everything else to ensure that. We do, in small situations, use that data for some training or troubleshooting. So it is not a heavily relied on component. It's always in our kind of T's and C's in the contracts to really work out the fine details with every account. But we do technically use it, but it is for kind of much smaller and targeted improvements as opposed to massive consumption of content for training.
Thanks for covering that, Jonathan. That's yeah, that's a really important question to address. I think we are good there, just sort of given our timing. PMs, speak now or forever hold your peace. Cool. So I am going to just close us out with a couple last reminders. If you want to go deeper on any of this stuff, don't hesitate to reach out to our team. You've got your research advisors and account managers if you're a customer. And then if you are not yet a customer, our team is always happy to chat. So do not hesitate to get in touch with us. We would love to talk through any of this stuff more deeply. And one more thing before I close us out. We've got two exciting events coming up, and we would love to see you there, in person or virtually. So first up, You can join us in person for the Chicago People Nerds meetup on June 10th. We're hosting, just a casual evening at Dscout's headquarters, filled with good chats, new connections, local snacks. Um, and I'll answer the question before I get it. Yes, drinks are on us. We'll also be holding a fireside conversation with some, thoughtful voices across UX. So if you're in the area, please come nerd out with us. And then the next day on June 11th, don't miss our AI shift panel discussion. So this live virtual event is going to dig into how Gen AI is changing the way we discover, imagine, and design. Julie Norovaisis, our VP of UX, and Gordon Ching from the Design Executive Council. They'll be joined by JM Downey and Dave Brown to talk through the findings of our latest report and what it means to lead in this sort of new era. Every registrant will get a copy of the AI Shift report, just packed with insights from design and research leaders navigating the Gen AI transformation. So whether you're looking to connect in real life or dive deep into what's next, we've got you covered and really, really hope that we'll see you soon. But that's all we've got for you today. So thank you so much for joining and just for your engagement in the chat and everything and some really great questions. And we will see you all later this summer for our next update. Take care, everybody.